Marcus Chen pulled his jacket tighter as he walked through the cold hallways of the space station. His breath came out in small white clouds. The temperature here was set for aliens, not humans. Everything felt like walking inside a freezer. "Remember, no sudden movements," Ambassador Williams said for the third time. "The Kithra see fast movements as threats. Keep your hands visible. Don't touch anything without permission." Marcus nodded. He had memorized all the rules during the long trip to this station. The Kithra were unlike any aliens humans had met before. They looked like living crystals, tall and graceful. Their skin was see-through and changed colors with their feelings. But they did not like to show feelings. To them, emotions were weakness. The meeting room was even colder than the hallway. Ice crystals formed on the metal walls. Marcus could see his reflection in the polished surfaces everywhere. The room was designed to make the Kithra feel comfortable, but it made humans shiver. "They should be here soon," Williams said. He checked his watch again. The ambassador was nervous, though he tried to hide it. This meeting was the most important thing that had happened to Earth in years. Marcus thought about why they were here. Earth needed special minerals that only the Kithra controlled. These minerals could power new ships and weapons. Without them, humans would always be weak compared to other alien races. But the Kithra had never traded with anyone before. They thought other races were too emotional and dangerous. The only reason they agreed to this meeting was because humans had fought the Void Swarm. Those monsters had attacked everyone. Humans, Kithra, and other aliens too. Most races ran away or hid. But humans fought them directly and won. The Kithra were surprised. They decided maybe humans were worth talking to after all. "Contact approaching," came a voice from the speakers. Marcus felt his heart beat faster. He had seen pictures of the Kithra, but meeting them in person would be different. The doors slid open with a soft hiss. Cold air rushed in, making the room even more freezing. 3 figures walked into the room, moving like they were floating. Marcus had to stop himself from staring. The Kithra were beautiful in a strange way. They stood almost 8 feet tall. Their bodies looked like they were made of clear ice, but ice that could move and think. Colored lights moved under their skin like slow lightning. The one in front had to be Queen Zethara. Her crystal skin was mostly blue and silver, colors that meant calmness in their culture. Behind her walked 2 guards. Their skin showed darker colors, purple and deep blue. They watched everything with eyes that looked like cut gems. At the back came a smaller Kithra. This one's skin was brighter, with yellow and white lights moving through it. Marcus guessed this was the Queen's helper or aide. "Welcome to Neutral Station 7, Ambassador Williams said. He bowed slightly, just like they had practiced. "I am Ambassador Williams of Earth. This is my assistant, Marcus Chen." Queen Zethara looked at them for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice came through a translator device. It made her sound cold and formal. "I am Queen Zethara of the Crystalline Dominion. We come here because your species fought the Void Swarm when others would not. This interests us." Marcus watched the lights move under her skin. The translator could change her words into English, but he wondered what she really sounded like. The Kithra talked using sound frequencies that humans could not hear properly. Their real conversations probably sounded like music. "We are honored by your presence," Williams said. "Earth hopes we can build a friendship between our peoples." Friendship. The Queen repeated the word like she was tasting something strange. An emotional concept. "We will speak of trade. Nothing more." They all sat down at a long table. The chairs were made for Kithra, so they were too tall for the humans. Marcus felt like a child sitting in an adult's chair. The Queen's aide moved around the table, setting up devices that Marcus did not recognize. The aide's skin was flashing more colors now, bright yellows and whites. It seemed excited about something. Williams began talking about the trade deal. He explained what Earth could offer: foods, art, and technology that the Kithra might find useful. In return, Earth wanted access to the quantum crystals that powered Kithra ships. Marcus half listened to the formal words. He was more interested in watching the aliens. The Queen sat perfectly still, like a statue. Only the slow color changes in her skin showed she was alive. The guards never moved at all. But the aide was different. It kept moving around, checking devices, and its skin flashed with many colors. "Your species shows interesting patterns," the Queen said during a pause. "You act without logic when threatened. This should make you weak, but somehow it makes you strong instead. Explain this." Williams smiled. "Humans believe that caring about others makes us stronger, not weaker. When the Void Swarm attacked civilian ships, we could not just watch. We had to help, even when helping meant risking your own ships." "Yes, even then." The Queen's skin shifted to deeper blue. Marcus thought this might mean she was thinking hard about something. "Your emotions override your logic. In most cases, this would lead to extinction. But not always," Marcus said without thinking. Williams gave him a sharp look. Assistants were not supposed to speak during these meetings. But the Queen turned to look at Marcus directly. "You have experience with this?" she asked. Marcus felt nervous with all those crystal eyes watching him. "I used to be a combat medic. I learned that sometimes you have to act fast to save lives. If you think too long, people die." "Interesting." The Queen studied him. "You make decisions without complete information?" "When lives are at risk, yes. You use what you know and hope it's enough." The aide suddenly made a sound like breaking glass. Its skin flashed bright red and orange. Marcus looked over and saw something was wrong. The aide was shaking, and its crystal skin was getting darker and darker. Without thinking, Marcus started to get up from his chair. He could see the aide was in trouble. Its crystal body was losing light, like a bulb burning out. In his mind, every instinct screamed that someone was dying and he needed to help. But then he remembered where he was. These were aliens. They had different rules. And this was the most important meeting in human history. Marcus froze, torn between his training to save lives and his duty not to ruin everything. The aide's crystal body was getting darker by the second. Marcus watched the lights inside its skin fade like a dying star. The creature made another sound like breaking glass, but softer this time, weaker. "Zethkal experiences system failure," one of the guards said in a flat voice. "Crystal matrix destabilizing." Ambassador Williams looked confused. "What does that mean?" "It means your aide is dying," Marcus said quietly. He could see it now, the way the crystal structure was losing its internal light, how the creature's movements were becoming slow and jerky. It reminded him of soldiers going into shock after losing too much blood. The Queen's skin flashed darker blue. "Zethkal will be taken to medical facilities. The meeting will continue." "But," Marcus started. "The meeting will continue," the Queen repeated. Her voice was harder now. Marcus looked at the aide, Zethkal, who was now slumped in its chair. The crystal skin was almost completely dark. The few lights left inside were flickering like candles in the wind. The creature's breathing was so quiet he could barely hear it. In his mind, Marcus saw other faces. Soldiers he had tried to save. Civilians caught in crossfire. He remembered the weight of choosing who to help first when everyone needed help. He remembered the feeling of watching someone die when he could have done something. "Ambassador," Marcus said quietly, "I need to help." Williams grabbed his arm. "Marcus, no. We can't break protocol. Too much depends on this." But Marcus was already moving. He pushed back from the table and walked toward the dying aide. Every step felt wrong, and right at the same time. Wrong because he was destroying everything. Right because someone was dying and he could help. Stop. The Queen's voice hit him like a physical force. The translator made it sound like thunder. You will not approach Zethkal. Marcus stopped, but he did not turn around. It's dying. I can help. You are not qualified. You are not Kithra. You will return to your seat. Marcus looked over his shoulder at the Queen. Her crystal skin was flashing angry reds and oranges now. The colors moved like fire under ice. He had never seen anything so beautiful and terrifying at the same time. I was a combat medic for 6 years, Marcus said. I've seen this before. Different species, same problem. Something is wrong with its circulation system. Our species do not have circulation systems like yours, the Queen said. Her skin was getting brighter red. We have crystal matrices that channel energy. You know nothing of such things. Marcus turned back to look at Zethkal. The aide was barely moving now. Energy flowing through a network, he said, thinking out loud. Like blood through veins. If the flow stops, the system shuts down. He took another step toward the aide. I forbid this. The Queen's scream was so loud that the translators started sparking. The sound was not just noise. It was actual sonic force. Coffee cups shattered on the table. Marcus felt the sound in his bones dot, but he also felt something else. The knowledge that in another minute, it would be too late. Whatever was happening to Zethkal was accelerating. He had seen this pattern before in humans who were bleeding out. There was always a point of no return. Marcus knelt beside the aide's chair. I'm sorry, he said, though he was not sure if he was talking to the Queen, the ambassador, or himself. Up close, he could see the crystal structure better. Zethkal's body was like a three-dimensional maze of clear pathways with light moving through them. But the light was stuck in some places, too bright in others. It reminded him of a blocked artery. Marcus put his hands on the aide's chest. The crystal was cold enough to burn his skin, but he did not pull away. He could feel vibrations inside, like a heart beating too fast and then too slow. Marcus, don't! Ambassador Williams shouted. The Queen was making sounds that the translator could not handle. Colors flashed under her skin so fast they looked like fireworks. The guards moved toward Marcus, but she held up a hand to stop them. She wanted to see what he would do. Marcus pressed down on specific points on the aide's chest, the way he would for CPR on a human. But instead of pumping up and down, he pushed in patterns. He could feel the crystal matrix responding, the stuck energy starting to move again. It was like massage, but for something that was not quite flesh and not quite metal. The human contaminates Zethkal, one guard said. This is sacrilege. Touching without permission, the other guard said. Assault upon a dying being. Marcus ignored them. He could feel the aid system starting to respond. The stuck energy was moving, finding new pathways. The crystal structure was warming up slightly under his hands. Still cold enough to hurt, but not as dead as before. What are you doing? The Queen demanded. Her skin was every color of anger now. Reds, oranges, purples that pulsed like a warning signal. Chest compressions, Marcus said without stopping. External pressure to restart circulation. We do it when hearts stop working. Kithra do not have hearts. No, but you have energy flow. Same principle. Marcus pushed again, feeling for the rhythm he needed. Too light, and nothing would happen. Too hard, and he might damage the crystal matrix permanently. He had to find the right pressure, the right timing. Suddenly, bright light flashed through Zethkal's body. The aide gasped, a sound like wind through crystal caves. Colors started moving under its skin again, dim but getting brighter. It's working, Marcus whispered. But when he looked up, the Queen was standing over him. Her face was terrible to see. The crystal was flashing so many angry colors that it hurt to look at her directly. When she spoke, her voice made the wall shake. "You have committed the highest crime possible against our people," she said. "You have touched another being without permission during their death passage. You have violated the most sacred moment of a Kithra's existence." Marcus felt his heart sink. He had saved the aide's life, but in doing so, he had destroyed everything else. "You will leave this station immediately," the Queen continued. "Your species will never be welcome in our space again. If any human ship approaches our borders, it will be destroyed." She turned to Ambassador Williams, who looked like he wanted to disappear. "Take your assault criminal with you. We will never speak again." The Queen and her guards left the room. Only Marcus and the ambassador remained, sitting in the cold air that suddenly felt much colder. On the table, Zethkal slowly sat up, crystal skin glowing with healthy light again. Marcus had saved a life and doomed his entire species in the same moment. Marcus sat alone in his small room on the station. 4 hours had passed since the Queen banished him. 4 hours since he destroyed humanity's only chance at the crystals they needed. 4 hours since he became the most hated man on Earth. Ambassador Williams had left on the first transport back to Earth. Before going, he told Marcus that he would be court-martialed for destroying a diplomatic mission. Marcus would probably spend the rest of his life in prison. Williams did not say this with anger. He sounded tired and sad. "I know you meant well," the ambassador had said at the door. "But good intentions don't fix this kind of damage." Now Marcus was waiting for the military transport that would take him home to face judgment. He sat on the edge of his bed and stared at his hands. They still felt cold from touching Zethkal's crystal skin. He wondered if the aide was still alive, or if saving it had only delayed the inevitable. The heating system in his room was making strange noises. When the Queen had screamed during the meeting, her sonic voice had damaged the electronics all over the station. Now some systems worked and others did not. Marcus's room was warmer than it had been before, almost comfortable for a human. He tried not to think about what would happen. When he got back to Earth, the news would spread quickly. Marcus Chen, the man who ruined first contact with the most powerful alien empire in the galaxy. There would be investigations, trials, and blame. Some people would call him a hero for saving a life. Others would call him a traitor for dooming humanity. A soft sound at his door made him look up. It was not the harsh buzz of the doorbell. It sounded like crystal chimes in the wind. Marcus frowned. The door should not make that sound. The chime came again, more insistent this time. Marcus walked to the door and pressed the open button. He expected to see a security guard or maybe another human diplomat. Instead, he found himself looking up at Queen Zethara herself. She stood alone in the hallway. No guards, no aides. Just the Queen of the Crystalline Dominion, looking down at him with eyes like cut diamonds. Her crystal skin was dim now, showing colors he had never seen before. Soft blues and greens that seemed almost sad. "Your Majesty," Marcus said. He did not know if he should bow or step back or close the door. The protocol manuals had never covered what to do if an alien queen showed up at your room after banishing you. "I wish to speak with you," the Queen said. Her voice was different now, quieter. The translator was working better too, making her sound less robotic. Marcus stepped aside to let her enter. The Queen had to duck slightly to fit through the human-sized doorway. Once inside, she looked around his small room with curiosity. Her head nearly touched the ceiling. "This space is very warm," she observed. "The heating system broke when you—" Marcus stopped himself. It seemed rude to remind her that her scream had damaged the station. "When I lost control of my harmonics," the Queen finished for him. "Yes, I am aware. I have come to speak about Zethkal." Marcus felt his heart start beating faster. "Is the aide all right?" The Queen stared at him for a long moment. The colors under her skin shifted to patterns he could not read. Zethkal lives. More than lives. The aide has made a complete recovery. This should not have been possible. I'm glad, Marcus said. I was worried that maybe I only delayed. You do not understand. The queen moved closer to him. Even in the small room, she moved with that floating grace all Kithra seemed to have. In 3,000 years of recorded Kithra history, no one has ever recovered from complete matrix failure. Never. When the light fades from our crystal structure, we die. This is a law of our existence, like gravity or time. Marcus did not know what to say to that. Yet somehow, the queen continued. You, a being who had never seen a Kithra before today, managed to restart Zekhal's entire energy matrix using only your hands and your ignorance. There was something in her voice that Marcus could not identify. Not anger this time. Something else. I need to know how, she said. Marcus sat down on his bed. The queen remained standing, looking down at him. I don't really know how. I just saw that the energy was stuck, like a blocked blood vessel. So I tried to get it moving again. Explain, blocked blood vessel, so Marcus explained. He told her about human hearts and blood circulation. He described how heart attacks happened when blood flow stopped, and how CPR could sometimes restart a stopped heart. He explained about pressure points and the rhythm of chest compressions. The queen listened without interrupting. As he talked, the colors in her skin kept changing. She seemed to glow brighter, as if his words were giving her energy. Your species learns to save lives by touching each other? She asked when he finished. Sometimes. When there's no other choice. And you do this for strangers? Beings you do not know? Marcus thought about that. Yeah, that's what medics do. That's what any decent person does, really. Even when touching is forbidden. If someone is dying, you help them. Everything else comes second. The queen was quiet for a long time. The colors under her skin moved slowly, like deep ocean currents. Finally, she spoke again. My people abandoned physical touch 2,000 years ago, she said. We decided that contact between bodies created emotional attachment. Emotional attachment led to irrational decisions. Irrational decisions led to weakness and chaos. That sounds lonely, Marcus said without thinking. The queen's skin flashed brighter. Lonely. Another emotional concept. We do not feel lonely because we do not allow ourselves to feel connected in the first place. But today, when Zethkal was dying, didn't you feel anything? I felt... The queen paused, as if searching for the right words. I felt that it would be inconvenient to lose a trained aide. Marcus looked at her glowing skin, at the way colors swirled and danced under the crystal surface. I think you felt more than that. You presume to know my feelings better than I do? No, but I know what grief looks like in humans. And your skin was showing colors I hadn't seen before when you thought Zethkal was going to die. The queen moved to the small window in Marcus's room. Outside, stars wheeled slowly past. What you did today, she said finally, it was not logical. You had no reason to risk everything for a being you had never met. You had every reason to stay in your seat and preserve the diplomatic mission. Yeah, yet you chose to act anyway. Yeah, why? Marcus thought about all the complex reasons. His medical training, his memories of war, his instinct to help others. But in the end, it came down to something simple. Because it was right, he said. The queen turned back to look at him. Her crystal skin was glowing brighter than ever, showing colors that seemed to have no names. When she spoke, her voice was very quiet. I have been queen for 400 years, she said. In all that time, I have never made a decision based on what was right instead of what was logical. Today, you taught me that maybe logic is not always enough. The queen stood very still after she said those words. The colors under her crystal skin were moving faster now, like auroras dancing in a polar sky. Marcus could see emotions there that he had no names for. "You said something about being right instead of logical," Marcus said carefully. "What did you mean?" The queen looked at her hands, long, elegant fingers that looked like they were carved from living ice. "When I saw Zethkal failing, my first thought was not about losing an aide. It was about losing someone I had known for 50 years. Someone who made small jokes during long meetings. Someone who always remembered exactly how I liked my energy supplements prepared." She paused, and her skin flashed with deeper blues. That thought scared me, so I pushed it away and focused on logic instead. The logical thing was to let Zethkal die with dignity, in the proper manner of our people. Marcus felt something cold in his stomach. But Zethkal didn't want to die. "How do you know this?" "Because no one wants to die when they can be saved. That's universal, isn't it?" The queen turned to face him fully. Her tall form filled most of the small room. "Is it? How can you be certain?" Marcus thought about all the people he had saved as a medic. Soldiers, civilians, even enemies who had been trying to kill him moments before. When death was close, they all wanted the same thing. "I've never met anyone who chose to die when they had a real choice to live," he said. "People fight to survive. It's instinct. Even when everything seems hopeless, they keep fighting. Even when survival means accepting help from strangers. Especially then. When you're dying, pride doesn't matter anymore. Only life matters." The queen's skin was glowing brighter now. The colors were beautiful but alien, shades of light that human eyes were not designed to see. Looking at her was like staring into a prism that held captured starlight. "You risked everything for a stranger," she said. "Your career, your freedom, your species' future. Why would you do this for someone you did not know?" Marcus had been asking himself the same question for hours. Because that's what humans do. We help each other, even when it doesn't make sense. But Zethkal is not human. Doesn't matter. Someone was dying. I could help. That's enough. The queen moved closer to him. Her crystal face was hard to read, but something in her posture seemed different. Less formal, more curious. "Your species feels responsibility for the welfare of beings you have never met." "Good humans do, yeah. And you consider yourself a good human?" Marcus shrugged. "I try to be. Even when being good causes terrible consequences?" That was the question Marcus had been avoiding. He looked down at his hands, still stained with the cold burn of touching Zethkal's crystal skin. "I destroyed everything," he said quietly. "Earth will never get the crystals now. Humans will stay weak while other species get stronger. Maybe someday that will get us all killed because we couldn't defend ourselves properly." "Yes," the queen said. "That is all true. And I knew it might happen when I chose to help Zethkal. But I couldn't just watch someone die when I could save them. I couldn't live with myself if I did that." "So you chose personal conscience over species survival?" Marcus looked up at her. "I chose to be human." The queen stared at him for a long moment. The colors under her skin were moving in patterns he had never seen before. They looked almost like music made visible. "For 2,000 years," she said slowly, "my people have believed that personal feelings make you weak. That caring about individuals makes you vulnerable. That the logical choice is always the best choice." She knelt down so her face was level with his. This close, Marcus could see that her eyes were not just crystal. They were like windows into deep space, filled with cold fire. "But today," she continued, "I watched you choose to care about one individual over the logical needs of billions. And somehow, this illogical choice created the most remarkable thing I have ever witnessed." Before Marcus could ask what she meant, the queen did something that shocked him beyond words. She reached out with her long crystal arms and wrapped them around him in an embrace. The contact was overwhelming. Her crystal skin was so cold it felt like being hugged by a glacier. But it was not just the temperature that made Marcus freeze. It was the cultural impossibility of what was happening. The Kithra did not touch, ever. Physical contact was the greatest taboo in their society. Yet here was their queen, holding a human she barely knew, breaking the most fundamental rule of her people. Through her crystal skin, Marcus could feel vibrations, like a heartbeat, but more complex. It was the rhythm of her energy matrix, the pattern that kept her alive. She was letting him feel the most intimate part of her existence. Marcus tried to understand what was happening. His brain felt numb. The queen's skin was warming up slightly where it touched his body, soaking up his human heat. Colors flowed faster under her crystal surface, bright and chaotic. "I can feel your warmth," she whispered. Her voice came directly through her chest now, not through the translator. It sounded like wind chimes mixed with distant thunder. "I can feel your electromagnetic field, your heart rhythm, your breathing." I had forgotten that beings could share physical sensation. Marcus still could not move. The hug lasted forever and ended too quickly at the same time. When the queen finally let go and stood up, her crystal skin was glowing like a small sun. "What just happened?" Marcus asked. The queen looked at her hands, turning them over as if seeing them for the first time. "I experienced what you call comfort," she said. "Physical reassurance. The knowledge that another being cares enough to offer contact despite cultural barriers." She looked back at Marcus. "I understand now why you touched Zethkol. You were not just trying to restart a failing energy matrix. You were offering comfort to someone who was afraid." "Were you afraid just now?" Marcus asked. The queen's skin flashed through several colors before settling on a soft silver. "Yes, I was afraid that I had made a terrible mistake. Afraid that I had let logic override wisdom. Afraid that I had lost something valuable because I was too rigid to see its worth." Marcus felt his heart still racing from the unexpected hug. "What happens now?" The queen moved back toward the door, but she paused before leaving. When she turned back to him, her crystal skin was showing colors he had never seen before. Warm golds and gentle whites that seemed to glow from within. "Now," she said, "I must decide whether my people are ready to learn what you have taught me." "Which is what?" "That sometimes the most logical thing to do is to set logic aside and choose to care instead." Marcus woke up the next morning to find 3 messages waiting for him. The first was from Earth Military Command, ordering him to report for court-martial as soon as he returned home. The second was from Ambassador Williams, saying the transport to take him back had been delayed for unknown reasons. The third message was from Queen Zethara, asking him to meet her in the station's main conference room. Marcus dressed slowly, not sure what to expect. Yesterday felt like a strange dream. Had the Queen of the Crystalline Dominion really hugged him? Had she really admitted that her people were wrong about emotions being weakness? The conference room was warmer today. Someone had fixed the heating systems that the Queen's sonic scream had damaged. When Marcus arrived, he found the Queen waiting with Zethkal and both guards. All 4 Keturah were showing unusual colors in their crystal skin, bright whites and golds that seemed to pulse with energy. "Marcus Chun," the Queen said when he entered. "Please, sit." Marcus took the same chair he had used during the failed diplomatic meeting. It felt strange to be back in this room where everything had gone wrong. But the atmosphere was different now. Less formal. Less cold. "I have spent the night in deep discussion with my council," the Queen said. "We have reached several important conclusions." Marcus waited, not sure if he was about to be executed or pardoned. "First," the Queen continued, "we have analyzed what you did to save Zethkal. Our medical experts studied your technique. They now understand that by applying external pressure in the correct rhythm, you restored flow to blocked energy pathways. This knowledge could save countless Kithra lives in the future. Zethkal spoke up, its voice musical through the translator. The human's touch brought warmth and movement back to my matrix. I felt cared for. It was not an unpleasant sensation. Second, the Queen said, we have reconsidered our position on physical contact. For 2,000 years, we avoided touch because we believed it led to emotional weakness. But yesterday, I experienced touch for the first time since childhood. Instead of making me weak, it made me understand strength I did not know existed. She paused and looked directly at Marcus. The strength to care about others, even when it costs you everything. Marcus felt his heart starting to beat faster. What does this mean? It means, the Queen said, that we were wrong about your species. We thought humans were chaotic and dangerous because you make decisions based on emotions. We did not understand that your emotions contain a different kind of wisdom. One of the guards stepped forward. Its crystal skin was showing colors Marcus had never seen before. Deep purples mixed with bright silver. When logic fails, the guard said, your species uses something else. Something that tells you to save lives, even when it makes no logical sense. Something that makes you risk everything for strangers. We need to understand this. You called it being human, the Queen said. We wish to learn what this means. Marcus stared at them. Are you saying the trade deal is back on? The Queen's skin flashed brilliant gold. No, Marcus-chan. We are saying something much more important. We are offering an alliance. Marcus felt dizzy. An alliance? Your species will teach us about emotion and instinct and the wisdom of caring for others. In return, we will share our crystal technology, our knowledge, and our protection. Together, we will become stronger than either species could be alone. Zethkal moved closer to Marcus. The aide's crystal skin was glowing with healthy light, completely recovered from yesterday's near-death experience. You saved my life, Zethkal said. But more than that, you showed the Queen and all of us that there are different kinds of strength. The strength to act when action seems impossible. The strength to choose compassion over convenience. The Queen stood up from her chair. Even in the warmer room, she moved with that floating grace that made her seem like she was dancing through space. We have a proposal, she said. We want you to become the first human Kithara cultural exchange officer. You would live part of your time on our worlds, part on yours. You would teach our people about human emotions and instincts. We would teach you about crystal technology and energy manipulation. Marcus felt overwhelmed. Yesterday, he had been facing court-martial and life in prison. Today, he was being offered the most important job in human history. But I'm not a diplomat, he said. I'm just a former medic who broke all the rules. Exactly, the Queen said. Her skin was showing those warm colors again, golds and whites that seemed to pulse with life. Diplomats follow rules and protocols. But what we need is not diplomacy. What we need is someone who knows when to break rules in order to do what is right. She moved closer to him, and Marcus remembered the feeling of her crystal arms around him. The cold that gradually became warmth. The sense of connection across impossible cultural differences. Your species has something we lost long ago, the Queen said. The ability to balance logic with compassion. To think with both mind and heart. To make decisions not just based on what is smart, but on what is good. Will your people accept this? Marcus asked. Yesterday you said touching without permission was the worst crime possible. The Queen's skin flashed briefly with darker colors. Embarrassment, Marcus realized. Yesterday, I was speaking from old fears. Today, I understand that some rules exist to be broken when breaking them serves a higher purpose. She gestured to her guards and to Zethkal. These three have volunteered to be the first Kithra to learn human ways of physical comfort and emotional connection. They are willing to experience touch and warmth and all the feelings that come with caring about others. One of the guards stepped forward. "We call your species the Feeling Ones now. It is a title of honor among our people." Marcus felt tears starting in his eyes. The Feeling Ones? Beings who use emotion as a tool for wisdom instead of seeing it as a weakness, the Queen explained. Beings who understand that sometimes the most logical thing is to set logic aside and choose to care. Over the following hours, they worked out the details. Marcus would split his time between Earth and the Kithra homeworld. He would help establish exchange programs where humans and Kithra could learn from each other. The Queen would set up a special residence on her palace grounds, a building kept at human-comfortable temperatures where she could practice the alien concept of physical warmth. When Marcus finally contacted Earth, the military commanders could not believe what they were hearing. Instead of facing court-martial, Marcus was being offered the chance to cement the most important alliance in human history. "How did you do it?" Ambassador Williams asked over the communication link. "How did you turn complete disaster into complete victory?" Marcus looked around the conference room. The Queen was studying her hands, flexing her crystal fingers as if imagining what it would feel like to offer comfort through touch. Zethkal was practicing human-style gestures, moving its arms in ways that conveyed emotion instead of just function. The guards were experimenting with standing closer together, learning that proximity could mean safety instead of threat. "I don't think I did anything special," Marcus said. "I just acted like a human." Turns out that was exactly what they needed to see. 3 months later, Marcus stood in a crystal garden on the Kithra homeworld, watching the Queen teach a group of young Kithra about human concepts like friendship and loyalty. The garden was kept at Earth-normal temperatures, one of many changes the Kithra had made to accommodate their new human partners. The Queen noticed him watching and walked over. Without hesitation, she reached out and touched his shoulder, a gesture of greeting that would have been unthinkable when they first met. "How are the new exchange students doing?" Marcus asked. "Remarkably well," the Queen said. Her crystal skin showed satisfied blues and greens. "They are learning that emotions can enhance logic instead of replacing it. Several have already requested permission to study human medicine so they can learn to save lives the way you saved Zethkal." Marcus smiled. "And how are you doing with all this feeling stuff?" The Queen's skin flashed with something that might have been amusement. "I am learning that feeling is not the opposite of thinking. It is another way of thinking, a way that includes the heart as well as the mind." She looked out over the crystal garden, where Kithra and human students were working together on joint projects. "You showed us that sometimes the most important decisions cannot be made with logic alone. They require something else, something that your species calls compassion." "Everyone has compassion," Marcus said. "Your people just forgot how to use it." "Perhaps. But it took a human to remind us. A human who was willing to risk everything for a stranger." The Queen turned to look at him directly. The Feeling Ones, indeed. As the two sons of the Kithra homeworld sat behind the Crystal Mountains, Marcus reflected on how strange life could be. He had destroyed a diplomatic mission and saved it at the same time. He had broken the most important rule and followed the most important principle. He had acted like a human, and it had changed 2 civilizations forever. Sometimes the best thing you can do is exactly what feels right, even when everything else tells you it's wrong.